Welcome to today's debate. The question, have the political elite of the UK betrayed their people? We'll hear arguments for both sides of this highly contested issue. Let's dive in.
Thank you. Yes, I believe the political elite in the UK have in many ways betrayed their people. For decades, we've seen growing inequality in wealth and opportunity. Decisions made by Westminster have often favored the rich. From austerity measures after 2010 to the mishandling of the 2008 financial crisis, it's the working class who bear the brunt while the elites thrive. Take Brexit, for example. The political elite promised that leaving the EU would bring prosperity and take back control. Instead, we've seen economic turmoil, trade barriers and job losses, especially in regions that voted overwhelmingly for Brexit. People trusted their leaders, but many feel misled by the unrealistic promises that were made. Look at our National Health Service. Despite promises to protect it, chronic underfunding and privatization have left the NHS in a state of crisis. This is a betrayal of one of the UK's most cherished institutions, built for the people, now left struggling to meet basic needs. The political elite are increasingly removed from the lives of ordinary citizens. Their decisions serve themselves and the wealthy, while millions of people struggle to make ends meet.
Thank you. I respectfully disagree. The notion that the political elite have the people is an oversimplification. The political class is navigating unprecedented challenges. From global economic instability to the pandemic, these crises are incredibly complex, and while mistakes have been made, it's unfair to label them as betrayal. Many politicians are genuinely working to improve the lives of their constituents, but they face difficult trade-offs and competing priorities. Yes, Brexit has been contentious, but it was the result of a democratic vote. The political elite executed the will of the people by following through on the referendum. While the process has been bumpy, this was not an easy decision to implement, and blame cannot be placed solely on the political elite. In fact, some of the issues post-Brexit stem from global market changes rather than pure political mismanagement. Let's not forget that the UK political system has delivered significant progress in certain areas. The recent growth in renewable energy, investments in education, and tackling climate change have been pushed by politicians on all sides. These are long-term strategies that may not yield immediate benefits, but are critical for the future. Betrayal is a strong word, and while the political elite may not always live up to expectations, many politicians remain committed to serving the nation's interests.
But how can we ignore the fact that those hardest hit by austerity were the most vulnerable? Politicians had options. They chose to cut public services while protecting the wealthy through tax breaks and bailouts. The ordinary person feels left behind, and that's not just bad policy, it's betrayal.
I understand the frustration, but let's not confuse policy disagreements with betrayal. Governing involves making hard decisions, and while austerity was unpopular, it was implemented to address the financial crisis and avoid a deeper collapse. It's not perfect, but the intent was to stabilize the economy, not to betray the public.
The reality is that the political elite have failed to protect the interests of the majority. From Brexit mismanagement to the NHS underfunding, their actions speak louder than words. The people feel disconnected from their leaders, and trust has been eroded.
Yes, there are valid criticisms, but let's not paint all politicians with the same brush. Many are working tirelessly to address the challenges the UK faces, and progress is being made in areas like green energy and digital transformation. It's not betrayal, it's governance under difficult circumstances.
And there you have it. Two sides to the argument. The debate over whether the UK's political elite have betrayed their people is far from settled, and it ultimately depends on how we define betrayal. Is it failure to meet expectations, or is it a genuine disconnect between leadership and the needs of the people? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more debates on the critical issues of our time. Closing scene, soft music fades in as the screen transitions to an outro graphic with the show's logo.